All right, NXT. Let's talk about NXT for a minute before we get to the actual content. We just been told that NXT will finally end up on the CW October 1st. Now, it's going to be, I think it's going to keep moving around a little bit beforehand. We already had it on Sci-Fi Channel. They're going to be recording again, I believe. When was it? USA again? Or was it SmackDown? Oh yeah, sorry. I'm getting SmackDown and NXT mixed up. SmackDown should be moving to USA September 13th. But NXT will not be ending up on the CW until October 1st. So we'll still see NXT still on USA. But SmackDown will start working September 13th. So this will be interesting. How are they going to structure SmackDown now being on the USA instead of Raw being on the USA? Because Raw has been there since I was, 22 years old. Yeah. That's been a long-ass time, boys. It has been a long-ass time. I'm 53 now. It happened when I was 22. That's been a long time. So once we see, and I don't even know if I'm going to be watching Raw. I'm going to say this now before we can get to NXT. I do not have Netflix. Making it clear, I do not have the funds to start trying to do Netflix along with just having regular service for internet. I'm not doing that. I'm on a fixed budget. So I will be doing the alternative, which will be pre-recorded. If I was going to do any Raw reviews, because when she ends up, and that's is WWE Raw, well, TKO WWE Raw. When it ends up on there, I will do a review of the first show if it's possible. If anyone is going to, put it on the alternative. It's going to depend. Let's make it clear. It's going to depend how whoever is going to be structuring this. I know this is something that you normally hear someone would say on YouTube. But let's make it clear. I'm not going to be the only person that's going to be doing it. I'm telling you right now. I'm on a fixed budget. I do not have tons of money to be able to throw at multiple different shows like Threat, like Thrill, like Real, like Honor Club, and so many other different platforms to watch pro wrestling. Like if I'm doing, let's say, TNA on YouTube, I only have enough for TNA and YouTube. If I'm doing Fight Network, I'm only going to do enough for Fight Network. That's it. I got to stay within my budget or I won't eat. So just to let you guys know, because we're coming close. WWE is getting close to when it's going to start transferring its stuff over to Netflix. It's coming soon. So I should at least admit what's about to happen. I will be doing the alternative and probably show it the next day or a day or so later, counting it, the alternative even has it. Now, let's get this started here. We had some good stuff here. We also had the U win, but let's get to the meat and potatoes of everything else. USA, NXT, Heritage Cup. Was this important? Yes. But was it important to help whoever needs to be helped? That's going to be the big question. Because Charlie Dempsey versus the Don is a very good match. I'm not going to tell you it was bad. And actually, the first 3 matches were actually very good when you could get past the commercials. Remember, you can see them in picture, so you can't see a lot. But the first 2 matches were good. Then we got the commercials. Then we got the second match, which was match 4, I believe. Or was it match 3? Match 3 was on commercials. Then match 4 was there. And then we finally got match 5, where, let's make it clear, the second match, the Don had to win. The 4th match, that it was, do I have to say Red Sinclair really made it work in the 4th match? No. Red Sinclair confused the living hell out of Charlie Dempsey. But it was Red Sinclair who saved his ass during the last part of match 5 because she did trip up the Don. There's no way. Let's make it clear. The Don did get slipped up. Tony D'Angelo got screwed over by Red Sinclair. So she's paid dividends for the no. You know what's kind of strange when it comes to no quarter catch crew? Damon Kemp not being in there. Drew Gulak not being there. Now, I don't know if Damon Kemp is injured. I think he's not. But we do know that Trevor Heights is in Japan right now. So he's working there. But I think Damon Kemp is done unless he's actually injured. So when you look at the no quarter catch crew, it does feel kind of thinned out. Until they get that extra person back or replace them with somebody, it's a question. Now, let me tell you this. Eddie Thorpe versus the King. What did we really get here? I'm going to be honest too. I'm being honest right here. When it comes to Eddie Thorpe, I like Eddie. He is true about what he says. He doesn't want to play like how every other Native American who's been in pro wrestling has been, whether with a headdress or do the dancing. Tatanka went down that route. Chief Jay Strongbow went down that route. I can understand it. And it took time for me to warm up to him. So I like him. But what is he really gaining going against a Lexis King, who legitimately at this point needs to go to the main roster? He just feels like he's a waste of time in NXT. I'm sorry. What is Eddie Thorpe really gaining from losing against a Lexis King? And what does Lexis King get? I mean, look, Lexis King has been wrestling for more than a few years. He's actually very polished at this point. But the problem here is I don't see them doing anything with him right now this year. And I don't even know if they're going to push him next year to do anything or to go on the main roster. And understand, this is not about his ability or even Eddie Thorpe either. Eddie isn't generic. Let's make it clear. He's mostly generic when it comes to his character. I would like to see him do more of his, since he's a DJ, I would like to see more of the DJ side come out. Make it clear. When it's time to go in the ring, he can call upon the more aspects of his Native American side that I do respect and like myself. But as a DJ, we saw him only once mixing, but he doesn't have the DJ attitude, and that's the problem. I'm just being honest. If you know DJs, they tend to be a bit too flashy for their own good most of the cases. Others, they can be very humble. But let's make it clear, if you're on WWE TV or TKO WWE TV, you need to be more flashy. He just isn't. He hasn't turned it up to 10 yet. Maybe he will when he becomes more developed by next year. But do I believe that? I'm not sure. Let's move on. Next, Lola Vice versus a Tatum Paxley. Now, this really started because Lola was talking to, surprising that Lola's now turned face. Because I think she was a much better heel than she was a face. But I think she wasn't developed enough as a heel. But she was a bit better than she is as a face here. She doesn't feel genuine enough as a face. Now, maybe it's due to the fact it's very early. And she just needs more time to develop it. Which, that can happen. But seeing Lola work with Kiana Jordan. Then seeing Tatum Paxley. Trying to talk to Tatum to try and relax. You got to snap out of it. And that leads to this match. Fine, it wasn't a bad match. But this was not about Tatum. And this wasn't really about Lola Vice. This is about Kiana Jordan, who is the current female North American champion, getting laid out by Wendy Chu. Holding up the title, having all the black on her eyes, and she don't say a word. She looks like she's the next person that's going to the White Six. I can understand they're doing this. Good. They're giving us something from Wendy, who's been on the roster more than a few times and needed to move on. So the question's going to be, when are they going to pull the trigger on and see what they're going to do with Wendy? Or is it really going to be about Tatum? And Wendy's just her enforcer. That's also a possibility. Tatum could actually be the one that's going to be here, and pretty much Wendy could be here as her enforcer. That could be it. I don't know. It's going to be a big question. The next match, Obafemi versus Otis. Now, I did see SmackDown. I did see the Creeds whoop that ass. They did. And then they got their problems when it came to the White Six. Let me give it to you like this. Do I feel Alpha Academy at this point? I don't know. without Chad Gable there, Alpha Academy has not really grown that much. Because the way you see Alpha Academy, it's more comedic than anything else. But the problem here is Otis is the most comedic there. Second is Tozawa. Or maybe it's kind of sometimes Tozawa takes over and then Otis takes over. Sometimes they switch positions who's the most comedic between the two. But then you look at Maxine Dupree. Yes, gorgeous woman. I would be happy to be with her for the rest of my life. I don't need a woman who's got like this and like that. Not saying it. I haven't gone down that route. I have met women that are average size. I met women voluptuous and women exotic. I'm not saying I play around. I didn't. I met 3 women in my life that I loved very much that just didn't work out. And each one of them had the aspects of either being average size, voluptuous size, and exotic, the last one being super thick. I was lucky that way in physical, but when it came to the relationship wise, it just didn't work for all 3 of us. Well, 4 of us. I went through all 3 of them. But you see Maxine. She is a beautiful woman. But as the manager right now, I just don't feel like she should be dealing with Ivy Nile. Because she's a manager. Let's make it clear. Maxine can wrestle a little bit, but she's more of a manager than a wrestler. And when you see her out there, she was in a managerial position. Yes, she was. But then I'm thinking about what do we gain by Maxine being with Alpha Academy. I'm just saying this for myself because I will be doing a SmackDown review. This is just me. But no, a Raw review, not SmackDown, Raw review. This is just me. I just feel like they need something. Wait a minute. Is Alpha Academy SmackDown or Raw? Raw. Sorry. I blanked. That's what they call a brain fart. Let's move on. Alright. Izzy Dane versus Bright Reese. I did not see Reese winning. Not at all. Now, this was due to the fact of, what was it called? The No Mercy Eliminator Gauntlet for the women. It's supposed to be for not a, well, this is more for, here's the thing. You look at Roxanne Perez. She has to have the gauntlet. But then you look at Kiana Jordan. And you think, will she ever have one? That's the reason why I'm kind of scattered here. Because I'm thinking, this would be good for Kiana Jordan. But I'm not surprised it's going for Roxanne Perez. Because since she's been so dominant, they need to do this. But I kind of wish they would do this for Kiana Jordan going into No Mercy and just gave a stand open challenge for a Roxanne Perez. That's just how I feel about it. But this is what we're getting. Now we got 6 women that were given. We had, what was it? Let me see here. Red Sinclair got in. We got Soruka got in. We got Erla Gray and what is it? Bright. I'm trying to remember, what was her name? I can't remember. I know Miss Parker joined, but I can't remember the 5th one. So, I'm sorry, I can't remember number 5, and it's not written here. But let me give it to you like this. It's good to say are doing a gauntlet for No Mercy, and that will give something for Roxanne Perez, but there's not many women left on the roster for Roxanne Perez to go through. Let's make this clear. I don't need to make this too long. Roxanne has gone for almost everyone on the roster that is being shown in the Performance Center. There's a few women she hasn't gone through, but they're not developed enough to really do anything. The only person that might be capable is maybe Soruka, maybe Parker. That's it. Everyone else doesn't feel developed enough, and they're not ready. So it's only 2 women that can possibly go through this. And it's only a matter of time that she's going to go through them both, and then they're going to have a major problem that there's no one she can work with anymore. Roxanne will have to start having women from the main roster have to come down and deal with her until they're ready to put it to the main roster. And who knows when that could be. That could be next year. Moving on. Alright. Let me give it to you like this. Oh, I forgot to say that Ubafemi won his North American Championship. It was very hard and very hard hitting. I was cool with it. Final match. And I know I'm missing stuff here. I'm leaving many things out. The one thing else I'm going to talk about will be Wes Lee. I will not be talking about what happened with Pete Dunne and Trick. I'm not going to talk about that. I want to see how that's going to develop. Also, when it comes to Ethan Page, I'm also leaving that out as well. Because you have to know what's going to happen with Trick and Pete Dunne first before you get anywhere with Ethan. But I will say that his promo was good, but that's it. Chase U versus the Champs. Now, this was at the end of the show. This was what? 9:47, 9:50. And it went up to 10:08. I thought one or two things were going to happen. Either possibly Duke Hudson would turn heel, or Ridge Holland and Andre Chase were going to win. Because they were reaching a point where they got to do something with Chase U. Either they're going to have someone break away from Chase U, and then they're going to have a feud with that person, or they have to win the titles. That's what I thought when it came with Duke Hudson. Well, Riley was cool, but I just don't think he was the one that was the best to turn heel. It was Duke. Duke always was on the fence for quite a while. And this situation, yes, he was convinced by Ridge, but they either had to win here or Duke had to turn heel. Match was good. Match was not a bad match. It was actually a pretty good match. But in the end, Chase U won the damn thing and closed the show, which for me personally, I've liked Chase U for a while now. I thought they did pretty well with Andre Chase, the story of going bankrupt because he went through gambling, and also when it came to Thea Hale, who did pretty well, trying to build herself up, went down, she's gone up, and now she's like here. They haven't done anything with her, but it doesn't mean they couldn't do something. And then they got Ridge Holland, who was supposed to do a redemption because he was in the Brawling Brutes. The Brawling Brutes fell apart, and now he had to rebuild himself up. Now he's tag champion. So I think they did a pretty good job with Chase U. Now the question's going to be, what's next? I don't know. Just like what's going to go with Umafemi dealing with Tony D'Angelo, I do not know what's going to happen with Chase U. Final thing I'm going to talk about will be Wes' segment. The only thing Wes didn't say was that the main reason that he is not with his best friend is that his crazy ex-wife fucked up his life. That's the only reason. Let's make it clear. Kimberly was unstable. Kimberly caused Zachary Wentz to lose his job. Flat out, we know this. It's been documented. That's the reason why WWE got rid of him 2 years ago. It's the deal. But the question's going to be, what happened after that? What were they going to do with a Wes Lee? Well, look what happened. They let him go and try to go for the North American Championship. He won it multiple times. And he set himself up to be a very well-respected and very popular wrestler. So now, once they didn't get the tag champs titles, I won't tell you that wasn't emotional last week. It was for me personally. I've watched all three of these guys for years. I'm one of the rare people who reviewed Impact when Impact wasn't popular, which is mostly still isn't. But it's been gaining some level. I'm not going to say that Impact hasn't gained some recognition working with TKO WWE. But like I said, it counts on how they're going to make it work when the collab is over. And how they're structuring this show while the collab is going on. Because they keep sending their best there. They are. And clearly, when you see how things are going, this has more been about what? Maybe Jordan Grace when she came those couple of times. What? Joe Henry, who started in the show in the early parts when Ethan Page was there, when Joe Henry came out, when Pete Dunne appeared, all that stuff. I'm just saying. When you look at the situation here, the only thing he came short to saying is Kimberly messed up my best friend's life, and I had to pick up the pieces, not just for my own position in in NXT, but for my friend, who I had to take care of until I broke my damn back. And clearly, it worked. I think he did a pretty good job. The only thing he didn't give is total realism, which was fine. But now, he made it very clear, like I did. This is not going to be helping TNA. This is going to be exclusive to NXT and No Mercy, because Wes made it very clear. He knew that him and Zach are going to have the match. So he wants to put him in his place. He wants to make him understand that when this match is over, you can return to TNA and be a wrestler. But he was this close to saying that I would be a real star, a superstar. Like how they want to try and get away from that. But he made it very clear. I'm going to be a superstar. I'm going to be on the show that we really wanted to be on. WWE. That is what he came close to doing, but did not. So, what did we get? Who came out? Pete Dunne came out. Then Joe Henry came out. And then we had to fight. And now there's going to be a triple threat that's going to go after Ethan Page. That is what's going to happen. We will have a triple threat in the next couple of weeks. And that triple threat will lead to No Mercy, where Ethan Page will defend his title against whoever it is. I don't know who it is. It's going to count on how they build each person. Pete Dunne, yes, he had a good interview with, what was the girl's name? Kelly, who looks like she's pregnant. I'll give you to like this. When it came to Pete, when he was dealing with Joe, I'm interested in seeing how far they're going to push between the two. And will Sheamus get involved since he got his hand smashed? I'm wondering if Sheamus will end up on NXT, because he did get his hand smashed by Pete, who is jumping back and forth between both brands. I'm hoping that Sheamus will go to NXT, because he wasn't there before. Sheamus never worked NXT, so it would be nice to see him do something there. But this is just me. I think this was not a bad show. It wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't bad. Peace.